Hey family, we are live, broadcasting live. This is the Conversation Room 101. Make sure it's only adults in the house. I need your mind to be open, prepared, and relaxed. Welcome to our home. Take your shoes off. We got some rules we need to go over. Be kind. No cursing in the chat. If you want to curse, call in. And no shouting out other channels. That's a no-no. We got one other rule. There is no judging our guests. It will not be permitted. Zero tolerance. And if so, you want to do that, guess what? We got security. And we will escort you out. Because over here, hashtag we don't care. We're going to be one big family. We're going to laugh together sometimes. We're going to cry. But we definitely going to pray. I thank the Lord above for everything. I lift him up and give him the glory. But you guys, right now, we're going to get our popcorn. And then we're going to see what's going on. And let me just park my car. And I'll be in there in a minute. I see you real soon.
The Copyright Disclaimer Act. The Copyright Disclaimer Act under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you. And I think I have to listen. Because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day. My beginning will be as bright as the sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so right. It's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart. Doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now I know. Baby, baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled
who
to
are
scour
you?
the area.
It's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Woke the God is in the building. How you doing? What's going on? First of all, haven't been on here in a while, and I'm looking at my messages now because foreclosure alert. Let me see the new messages. Okay. Anyway. Hey. I want to talk about the Nolan Wells case. And what is the update that we're seeing? The update on the Nolan Wells case. So, a Cincinnati woman was charged after making bomb threats to multiple governments. Hold on. I said the Nolan Wells case, and then they Talking about, oh, okay, this is what they're saying. A Cincinnati woman charged after making bomb threats to uh multiple government offices following the Nolan Wells death. What did she say? A Cincinnati, Ohio woman faces a federal charge after authorities say she made dozens of bomb threats calls to two Mississippi government offices in July following the death of Nolan Wells. Michelle Edwards. Oh, I got a cousin named Michelle Edwards. Michelle Edwards was charged July the 30th in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Mississippi with one count of transmitting a threatening communication in interstate. Okay, so Michelle was charged July the 30th. Yeah, with one count of transmitting a threatening communication. According to the complaint, Edwards made two sets of calls on July the 23rd using a blocked number between 1:34 and 1:42 p.m. The Georgia County Clerk office received 21 calls from a blocked number. The caller stated, "Do not go outside. The clock is ticking," and die. Between 2:06 p.m. and 2:24 p.m., the Jackson County Sheriff Office dispatch received 8 calls placed using star 67 to mask the caller's identity. The caller said, "Y'all got a bomb outside. Don't come outside. BITCH and later. Y'all still in there?" The threats triggered a building lockdown and a bomb sweep with K9 units. The investigators submitted emergency disclosure requests to CSPR and Verizon, which identified the phone number used. Open source searches on Cash App linked the number to accounts associated with the name Michelle Edwards. Cincinnati Police Department records also listed Edwards as the owner of the number. Cell tower data from the night of the incident showed the device associated with the number had bedded down near Edwards' known address in Cincinnati, Ohio. The charge carries the maximum penalty of 5 years in prison or $250,000 fine and 3 years supervised release. So did she really think they wouldn't track her? Girl, she thought she can just use that star 67 and make a threat like that. Now here's another one. Nolan Wells case. A man accused of sending death threats to the friend's mother. Okay. Oh, I can barely read this. So they say, hold on. Online accounts sparked threats. One message from the investigators found alleged read, "There will be a package coming to your guy's office. Is going to blow you away when you see it. Probably best to have the boys there to see as well." Okay, hold on. Let's hear what they got to say.
Threats against those connected to the case. One threat promising, quote, "blood everywhere." 18-year-old Nolan Wells disappeared on July 4th. This was after traveling with friends by boat to a Gulf Coast island. His body was found 2 days later. His family demanding answers. Joining us now with the very latest, Courtney Friel. And Courtney, I know you're in California where one of these arrests took place.
Yeah, and Kelly, at this point, we don't have a picture or mugshot to show you of Joseph Alfredo Vasquez Dumars, but the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office confirms he is in custody there on federal hold with no bail. The U.S. Department Justice Department is charging him with threatening to kill a judge in Mississippi who happens to be the stepmother of one of Nolan Wells' friends who was with him the day he disappeared.
Oh, my.
The threat was sent to Judge Ashley Cole, who sits on the bench in Jackson County, Mississippi. Federal investigators traced the very violent threat that was sent to Cole's Facebook Messenger account, which read, quote, "There will be a package coming to your guy's office. It's going to blow you away when you see it. Probably best to have the boys there to see it as well. Blood, so much blood everywhere, hard to clean, especially from a boat. But yours will be quick, I promise. I got all your info. Not even the FBI can stop this. And then when you open it, you have maybe 10 seconds or less to ask God forgiveness." Other messages reportedly threatened to strangle the judge's additional children. Investigators traced the messages back to Sacramento to the email address of Joseph Alfredo Vasquez DeMars and say he also made phone calls to the judge's county court office the same day. So, what is the connection between the stepmother of a dead teenager's friend and a 27-year-old man in Sacramento who's also on California's sex offender registry? Investigators don't know that yet, or at least they're not saying. The suspect, DeMars, is charged with interstate transmission of a threatening communication, which carries a potential of 5 years in prison. And then, Kelly, just today, we're following reports of another person arrested, possibly in connection to this investigation, on similar charges. Take a look at this woman, Michelle Francine Edwards, who lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, also charged this weekend with phoning in bomb threats to 2 Mississippi government offices in the days following Nolan Wells' death. Police are investigating this as yet another person, one of Wells' friends, says he's been getting death threats from people who believe he is linked to the teenager's disappearance and death. That friend's attorney told News Nation that he blames the unchecked nature of social media.
I think the second part of the tragedy, though, really is how America responds to these stories, because social media feeds into this. There is no evidence today that foul play led to the death of Nolan Wells, but there are an awful lot of people that are assuming that the people who love Nolan, that considered him their friends, are culpable in his death.
Law enforcement officials in Mississippi say they have no evidence of foul play in the July 4th death of Nolan Wells. Their initial conclusion was that he drowned, but Nolan's family is pleading for any information about his death, saying they won't rest until they have answers, Kelly.
Yeah, and Courtney, speaking of answers, there have been 2 autopsies now conducted on Wells. They're trying to determine how he died, of course. What have they revealed?
Exactly.
Yeah, there have been 2 autopsies, Kelly. The official one, which is sealed right now, Mississippi legal authorities say it will remain sealed until a grand jury can review it. But there was also an independent autopsy commissioned by the family of Nolan Wells, and the official word from that autopsy is that the results are inconclusive. But, you know, it's coming up on 1 month since the tragic death of Nolan Wells.
Yes.
And after all this time, there's still no rock solid conclusions about exactly how Nolan Wells died and if anyone else is responsible. And you got to feel for the family, Kelly.
Oh, of course. You know, with so many questions remaining. Courtney Friel, Courtney, as always, thank you.
Okay, well.
They're a neighbor you like.
Well. Let me lower this. That right there is they can investigate these people, but they can't find out who killed this boy. Exactly. Update on the Nolan Wells case. Okay, so 3 of Nolan Wells' friends launched legal fund, insisting they being Judge Matthews questions the drowning theory. Man charged with threatening the Mississippi judge's son. TMZ put out something 3 hours ago. Mississippi Public Safety Commission warns fake Nolan Wells toxology thing. Okay. Let's go through some of these. Let's see here. The Three of Nolan Wells' friends launched legal fund insisting, let's see what they insist. Speculation about the case has run rampant online and in Mississippi, and Wells' family and some of his friends may soon file dueling lawsuits. Okay, whatever. An online campaign has raised more than $90,000 as a legal fund of sorts on behalf of Nolan Wells' friends, Warren Hudson, and then his friends who were at a larger party with him. The new fundraiser says these friends have been falsely and wrongly blamed of either direct or indirect having a hand in Nolan's death. As the investigation continues, litigation is now expected from both Wells' family and some friends. Several friends who were with Nolan before he vanished from a large 4th of July party have reportedly joined a fundraiser to help them defend against potential lawsuits as well as pursue claims of slander and liability. Intense online scrutiny and speculation about the case. So, what the guy say? So, was it inconclusive because they withheld the throat from the independent investigator? The throat and the lung. Remember the throat and the lung. That's why it was inconclusive. So their fundraiser has raised more than $90,000. All three were with Wells on 18-year-old college student and athlete on the 4th. At some point that afternoon, Wells seems to have vanished. We're going to talk. We all know the story. A lot of people like to go back and forth on the story. We know the story. Some friends went out from Ocean Springs to go to a seclusive island called Horn Island. About 300 people were out there. They were supposed to have fun. One of the stories allegedly that Nolan was with a girl named Katie and wanted to stay behind. She said, oh, yes, the lung. I forgot about that. Yeah, you got to have the lung to know if there was water in the lungs. Like, was water in the lungs? Because if your body organs shut down, there may not be water in your lungs. So you can have water in there afterwards, but it's a whole different. They could tell if water was in the lungs that made you drown. Like, did you die from drowning? Or did somebody throw you in there after you were already deceased? So we don't know. We have no clue of what's going on there. What is it, Pooh Bear? So, so we have no clue. I'm not surprised everybody's wanting to GoFundMe. But since then, the parents, Christina and Elmore, has said they want a thorough and transparent investigation. And you know what's so bad? Other people wants to tell this family, you don't have the right to have people to come in and question why? Why do you have Ben Crump? Why do you have Al Sharp? Why? Because you just want to tell me, oh, your son died because of drowning. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, I was watching, it's a YouTube channel called The Art of Dialogue. And Judge Matthews was on there. And we're going to go to that. Judge Matthews brought up something that I hadn't even looked at, but I mean, so this is what Judge Matthews is saying. Judge Greg Matthews isn't buying the leading theory behind Nolan Wells' death. Weighing in on the increasing high-profile case, the television judge said the unanswered questions surrounding the Mississippi team's final hours amount to reasonable suspicion and argues the evidence made public so far points to the need for a far more aggressive investigation. So he was speaking on the Art of Dialogue podcast. Matthew made his position clear from the outset. I don't believe he drowned. I believe he was killed. He said, but I am a judge that has to weigh all the evidence. Primary, that's what I see. So Matthew said one of the biggest red flags is the explanation that Wells voluntarily stayed behind on Horn Island while his friends left after their boat reported developed mechanical problems. He questioned why anyone would leave a friend behind after realizing he no longer had his cell phone. You don't leave your friend on an island seeing that he has left his phone and not at least go back. Matthew said, you came there with him, you left with him. You left him there. You say because he wanted to stay, but you noticed that he left his phone. How was he going to get home in the first place? Wouldn't he need his phone in order to call his transportation? His comment came as new forensic findings have only deepened the mystery. Attorney Ben Crump revealed that an independent autopsy commissioned by the Wells family determined the 18-year-old cause and manner of death were both undetermined. Per Crump, forensic pathologist Dr. Roger Mitchell could not rule out foul play and was unable to fully evaluate critical evidence because portions of Wells' body had already been removed during the state's initial autopsy. This is only another part of the puzzle, Crump said after releasing the findings. Even though it tells us significant information, we still have more questions than we have answers at this time. Those unanswered questions have fueled growing national attention since Wells' disappearance during a July 4th boating trip. His body was recovered 2 days later by a park ranger. While Mississippi authorities initially said they believe Wells drowned, the official state autopsy and toxicology results have not been publicly released. For Matthews, the public known facts already create what he called reasonable suspicion that a crime has been committed. He also sympathized that it seems as if they would be a hindrance of evidence. Yeah. He also emphasized that any grand jury can only evaluate the evidence prosecutors choose to present. The question becomes, is the prosecutor going to do a thorough investigation and presentation to the grand jury? Matthew said, because if they don't, if they miss some parts of the evidence that is necessary, then the grand jury has nothing to consider. Mathis specified, pointing to Wells' cell phone, reported that Snapchat content may have been deleted and Mississippi history with racial charges cases as issues investigators should carefully examine. Mississippi really has a bad reputation, and this once again is reinforced, he said. Crump has likewise continued pressing for a border investigation, arguing that conflicting witness account, cell phone evidence, and independent autopsy all warrants closer investigation. The family's efforts have drawn support from Colin Kaepernick, Tyler Perry, Byron Allen, Reverend Al Sharp, and other prominent public figures. I also seen that Whoopi Goldberg, and then you've got what's the guy name that does the he talks about like football and why do I want to call him Steven or Stephen, whatever. You guys know who I'm talking about. But asked what he would do if he were part of the Wells legal team, Matthews offered a simple answer. The objective would be to get it in front of the grand jury, he said. Ben's done that. Let's see what happens. So he's getting it out there. That's for sure. So Miss Rachel met with Nolan Wells' mom, calls for honest, fair, and transparent investigation. Miss Rachel is advocating for the family of Nolan Wells, the 18-year-old who mystery vanished. I don't know who she is. Miss Rachel met with Nolan Wells' mom, calls for honest. I don't know. I don't know if I would trust her. I don't know. She looks weird. She looks weird. Let me click on there because never seen her before. Don't know who she is. Well, she just put it up there this morning. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Hey, Tina Powers, what's going on? She's going to advocate. She says the 43-year-old YouTuber whose real name is Rachel Ann told followers in her Instagram post shared Sunday, August the 2nd, that she has connected with Nolan Wells' mom, the internet personality who has been politically outspoken in recent days with a particular focus on how ICE is handling the immigration crackdown in the United States, said that Christina's love for her precious son and her faith and kindness brought me to tears. I knew she wasn't nobody really big. You know what I'm saying? But she's a YouTuber. So we are moms, Miss Rachel said. We know that love. We laugh when our babies laugh. We ache when they hurt. We try to do everything possible to protect them, she continued. The fact that anyone, okay. Now, this mama just lost her baby. Okay. The children video created who has 20.8 million subscribers. God, she has 20.8 million subscribers on her YouTube channel. She ain't little. I take that back. We little. But then shared photos of Wells as well as quotes about him said by his parents. Well, she ain't got no other photos than what everybody else got. But in the caption of her post, Miss Rachel wrote, "Please support Nolan Wells' mom, Christina, and family. No parent should lose a child." Okay, while investigators have said drowning is suspected, they haven't released an official cause of death, and the case remains under investigation. Wells said, "This case is completely out of control. We all know them white boys unalive this young man." Oh, you know what? What I'm gonna tell you guys, what came to my understanding, and I was looking for the information, but only thing I found, like, it was at the same time. So when Nolan came up missing, Judge Matthews said that one of the boys called the Coast Guard and filed a missing person report. This is before he called the mama. And I thought to myself, surely this boy didn't do that. But then when I went and tried to look up what time did he call the Coast Guards, it said that he was the first person to call in a missing report. And he called the Coast Guard. Why would a teenager call the Coast Guard and say and try to file a missing report on his friend? Wouldn't you call the mama first and say, "Hey, did Nolan make it home?" Ask the question. Now, Nolan don't live with you. Whether he came to your house or not, Nolan don't live with you. So just because he didn't show up at your house, grab his keys or his car or whatever, why would you call the Coast Guard and file a missing report without calling his mama or dad to know if Nolan made it home? And so when I got the Coast Guard information of what time did the boy make the call, it is he did make the first call. He was the one that called in first. That's strange to me. That's very strange. Why would you not call the mama and say, hey, I'm just checking because Nolan didn't come back with us. So is Nolan at home, mama? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got a good point. Why the Coast Guard didn't release the call? Exactly. Why they didn't release? Because you know what? When you think about it, if this boy called the Coast Guard before calling that mama to make sure he didn't make it home, because Nolan don't live with them, why would you call in talking about this person's missing? You don't know if the person missing or not. You left him somewhere. So if you left him somewhere, he's not missing. He just didn't show back up at your house. But before you call the mama and find out, did he make it home? Now, had you called the mama and say, hey, Miss Christine, Nolan wanted to stay on the island. And did he ever show up at home? Then I can probably say he didn't show up at home. Why would you even make a call? You a kid. You don't have a social security number. You may know his birthday, but you don't have the pertinent information to give the Coast Guard. Oh, only thing you can say is, okay, he was wearing some blue shorts. He's African American. You don't really even know that to be for sure, because really, if you look at him or look at his mom, there is some mixtures there somewhere. Yeah, his dad is, African American, but his mom is kind of mixed with something else. She's just not pure African American. Well, we all are not. We all got other stuff embedded in us, but hers could be like her mom or her dad. She could be mixed, making him a quarter, a third. You guys understand what I'm saying? Oh, the mom is Filipino? Okay. Okay. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can't just say that Nolan is African American because he's mixed. He's mixed with some things. Anyway, it just seems to me, and then and I'm not mad at the parents for going to a YouTuber that's got 20 point something million followers, yeah, so they can get the word out there, I would do the same thing. I would go to everybody, I wouldn't just go to the small, the big guns, I would go to, anybody that'll let me, get on their channel, that whether you got 2 followers, 1 follower, one person or whatever, because we all know, in the good book, 1 can bring 10,000 and 10,000 can bring, such and such. That's what the good book tells you. So we know about Horns Island, and so we know all of this stuff. The last thing that they and we read what Judge Matthews says. The woman, the man that's charged. So now I'm gonna tell you guys something, and I'm just gonna keep it real 100. I like TMZ. I always like TMZ. TMZ will get some stuff when nobody else can get it. But for some reason, on this case here, I don't know why TMZ says something, and I'm going to share that with you guys. But TMZ says, we know for a fact. Listen, y'all, and I'm being honest. TMZ says we know for a fact that Nolan stayed on that island. That's what TMZ said. How in the world do TMZ get that information that they know for a fact. They said that they got someone that says that they seen Nolan walking on the grounds at 6 o'clock in the evening. Nolan wasn't on that boat. I'm gonna tell you guys something. I've always, if you want to find something out, go to TMZ. But TMZ says that Nolan was on the earth. He on the island. He was not on the boat with them boys. Now anybody can be paid to say whatever they want, but TMZ put that out there. Okay. So dang, this dog tore this man body and face up. Dang. That's crazy. I'm trying to. So Zen sent me some, but it's just not popping up. It's crazy. Um, that's a lie. You know? Um, uh, what they're saying, Wesley Snipe died? She said, this time I think TMZ is covering things up. I heard Nolan was on a second boat. Don't know that for sure. Y'all, I didn't. Wesley Snipe died? Oh no, celebrating Wesley Snipes. Let me see what they got on here. His birthday was 3 days ago. I don't know nothing about Wesley Snipes dying. Hello. I'm trying to see here. Let me see. Uh, I don't know. The day Nolan Wells disappeared was the one day Nolan was missing. I don't know, you guys. Let me see what this person is saying. Let's see. Oh, let me see here.
Not feeling so good, but wanted to jump in with an update in the Nolan Wells case, you guys. So we do have an update in the Nolan Wells case. There is a lot going on.
No.
I did watch an in-depth report, and I also have copies of some text messages to prove the information that I'm going to give you, you guys. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, and follow. Push the notification bell if you are on YouTube watching this video to be notified of all my future uploads. And let's get into it, you guys. So, you guys, I watched again another interview and reporting from Officer Tatum from the Officer Tatum show. You guys,
I do not like that Officer Tatum.
He has details that no one else does, and I would like to get into it. So we had a picture that I posted. I was one of those who posted the picture. I think it was last week, of a swimming pool, and Warren, his buddy who was interviewed, and Nolan were in the pool. Warren had his arm around him, and it was said by Ben Crump, you guys, and their team that picture was from July 4th. We have the actual details of the photo, when it was taken, and all of the information from the person who posted the photo. And this photo was taken on June the 27th. It was not taken on July 4th, you guys. So, number one lie by the Nolan Wells family and their attorneys is very.
Oh my goodness!
I was giving the mom a real benefit of the doubt. I think she's going through a lot now. I don't know if she's being instructed by Ben Crump and Al Sharpton to.
Okay, I don't want to hear that.
I want to know how he quote unquote fell off the boat in the first place, and I don't want to hear that he was drunk and he slipped off the boat, because that doesn't make sense. I'm gonna keep it so real. I've been drunk before and I've never slipped off of anything, so I don't think that that's factual.
What questions do you think still need answers?
I want to know.
Okay.
I walked up to the house and said, I'm Nolan.
Feels like.
So,
Mr. D, sir, it's completely understandable that you're trying to protect your kid because he's going to the NFL. And we know he didn't do nothing to Nolan. But you just lied and told me he never.
What?
You know about that iPad we got last week? I forgot when it's coming.
Yeah.
When is it coming again?
I haven't did anything on it. Okay, so I don't like Brandon Tatum either. Oh, right. They're all linemen. They're all telling lies. Yeah, they all is. The official narrative is completed, falling apart. The district attorney just confirmed. What did they just confirm? Let me see. I don't hear anything because anytime when I go live, my grandson wants to come and chit chat about whatever.
Tito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Bourne, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the work coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
What did we just hear? What was that? Straight out to investigative reporter Crime Stories, Dave Mack. Did you just hear what I heard? Now, this has been transcribed, and this is the CTO dispatch call. Because, Dave, when I first heard this, I thought, has this been doctored? Is this real? Where's this coming from, Dave?
This is an official recording, Nancy, that is being issued, and it's shocking when you listen to this call for a tow, for the CTO. Going further into it, Nancy, you're picking apart all of the different voices that can be heard on this one phone call, trying to determine what is really taking place on this boat that is allegedly sitting in 31 feet of water, a depth of 31 feet. And a bilge pump not working, claiming they're sinking, and calling for help. And yet, in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity?
Tito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Bourne, and
Yeah. So
Secret Service, Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update, and this is insane. You have to hear this audio in the beginning where they're calling for the emergency for their bilge pump and they're taking on water. I swear you can hear her say, "Oh my God, is he dead?" and yells, "Nolan." Listen to the audio.
Connection. Tito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the...
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir?
First of all, the guy making the call sounds definitely drunk. And
I see it as they have one of two choices. One, they can make things right, or two, I leak everything.
Arriva, the attorney Ben Crump says the independent autopsy shows that the cause and manner of death of Nolan Wells remains undetermined at this time. What do you make of those new details?
Well, not altogether surprised by the determination by this independent coroner who did this investigation of Nolan Wells's body. I'm sure not what the family expected. I'm sure they hoped, and so many in the community hope for some definitive answers. But unfortunately, at this point, we don't have those answers. I think what
All right, y'all, this is very important. If you were on Horn Island this 4th of July, you may know something that could help solve this missing persons case. So we have 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells. He disappeared.
Well, so Governor Tate speaks on the investigation.
You say you have Nolan's cell phone and messages were deleted. How could you tell messages were deleted?
Well, his parents got the phone back, and that's something that's important, Michael, because they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima, and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her two sons, Jalen and Javon, like they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, like, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. Like I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. Like I'm not. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone, they tracked it. And that highlights all these contradictions, Michael. The fact that they said Nolan was talking to a young woman and she said that he said, I'm going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys said that he said he was going to stay with her. And so that's an obvious contradiction. And then this video of this, you can hear an argument going where Nolan is saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing? And so
you said that he stayed the night at a friend's. The first question is, did he stay with the friends that he went on the boat with? Yes, he did. And my second question is, has anyone come forward and provided you with other photographs or videos from Horn Island from July 4th that afternoon?
They'll start to send them to our office, and that's where the Attorney Parker is added about. Please continue to send whatever video you got, whatever pictures you got. And we're very thankful that some of y'all people have done that.
So you said that he stayed the night at a friend's. The first question is, did he stay with the friends that he went on the boat with?
We know more tonight about the boat that brought Nolan Wells and his friends out to Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi this 4th of July, a trip that turned out to be the...
So what did you say? I'm looking at this as we go over this. Let me see. Let me see. Warren lied when he said that Witt was the one who unplugged the bi-leg pump, and it was Bart that got on the boat and did that, and then started towing them until they could get up enough speed so the water could drain out. What's Zip family and SP? What's up?
Asked that Wells would ever take alive. CBS News has obtained a recording of an emergency call made from the boat when it left the island around 4:30 p.m. without Wells, according to friends. The 23-foot boat had 7 people on board, according to the caller, who said the boat was taking on water and sinking.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come?
GPS records show the boat did make it back to the mainland safely that evening. Wells' body, meanwhile, was found 2 days later. We know more tonight about
A former Mississippi judge have came forward and confirmed the police ain't doing everything they could do to solve this Nolan Wells investigation, potential murder. And it's probably because there are some very powerful families involved in this situation. Not only are they not doing their job, the judge will even take it a step further and say, yo, there are obvious crimes and arrests that needs to be made already that they are neglecting and refusing to act on. This is Carlos Moore. He's a former judge in Mississippi and current attorney. Y'all called us race hustling, ambulance chasing grifters because we say, yo, this Nolan Wells situation doesn't smell well and we want an investigation. So we race hustling, ambulance chasing grifters. So now you guys got to deal with an actual attorney, somebody who actually knows the law, somebody who was a judge.
27 days
since we have been able to talk to our son, to hug him, to tell him we love him.
Well, it seems as though we may finally be getting answers about what happened to Nolan Xavier Wells. The phone call to Cito was released yesterday, and although the caller appeared panicked and focused on keeping the boat from sinking,
the Coast Guard corrects themselves and says they did receive a call from a friend of Nolan Wells on the 4th of July. See? The U.S. Coast Guard says he suddenly remembered one of the Nolan's friends contacting them about Nolan missing around 11 p.m.
For the record, I have notes because I just want to be as careful with the story as possible. And so most of my information is coming from the United Cajun Navy, who were the first responders to
Nolan's girlfriend's mother breaks silent on Nolan's final hour. What'd she say? Katie had a conversation and assumed that Nolan was getting ready to get on the boat he came on. Katie made it home because she was on another boat and with different people. Katie was safe because my brother and sister went and got her. Katie assumed the friends went and got her. Why would somebody have to come and get her? Anyway, Katie assumed that the friends telling him to get on the boat wouldn't have left him. Me and my family have talked, called in, and our prayers to bring Nolan home. We have given all the answers we can give. Gracie McCormick, sister of the young woman who was reported with Nolan.
All right, y'all, things are happening in the Nolan Wells case, and some of them change what we thought we knew from before, so let's get into it. All right, in my earlier video, one of them, I referenced that viral argument video. I've shared the video.
We don't.
Covering this new development in the Nolan Wells case is because the lead attorney, Benjamin Crump, just posted about it on his Instagram. And the latest development is that Nolan Wells was alive July the 5th, and he did return from Horn Island. And not only has attorney Benjamin Crump been posting this in his feed, he has also been reposting it in his stories. I am going to walk you through a timeline over the past 24 hours, starting with multiple emails I received with this latest development. Then I'm going to play a video for you that gives you detailed information about this new development. We're going to go over the timeline. We're going to go over what this means in the case.
What are they
then
saying?
I'm going to tell you what Nolan Wells' mom has to say about this latest development. Sit back, relax. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the most shocking development since this case started, and then I'll hand it off to you, the Out Louders, to let me know what you think in the comment section below. My morning started off with a ton of emails with the screenshot you'll see here right beside me. The screenshot right beside me that I will not read in detail basically states that Nolan Xavier Wells did in fact return from Horn Island, and he attended a party, and he was alive July the 5th up until at least 3 a.m. And it is then when he got into a confrontation, and it's there where he passed away, and then they brought his body back to the water. Now, the reason why I was a little bit hesitant in the morning is because I get emails every day about different stories and developing stories about stories that I'm covering. And it's my job to make sure that I sift through them to make sure that I'm giving you guys accurate information. That is my job. So when you click on the channel, you know you're getting accurate information. As time went on, I saw a few people talking about this on Instagram. Some pages that were not so reputable, smaller pages, and I didn't think too much of it. But like I said at the top of the video, when I saw attorney Benjamin Crump post about it, that is when, to me, this story got a lot more solidified. Now, I'll be 100% honest
That's
with you.
crazy.
And I'll show you in a minute why. Because of the cat.
Did y'all even hear what he's saying? He's saying that he made it back. And
that attorney Benjamin Crump put once he posted this picture. But let me get to this. Let me tell you a little bit more about the development of the story. I'm not going to read the full thing, but I'm going to put 2 more screenshots, and then I'm going to play a video, and then we'll get into the details of what the caption said with attorney Benjamin Crump. Let's go to the next picture. Now, for those of you who want to read the details of this, feel free to pause and read the details. I will not lend my voice to this until it is 1,000,000% confirmed. Like I said, we're trusting Benjamin Crump. And here is the third screenshot. Like I said, it's basically saying he came back, he was at this party, and the picture that I showed you at the top of this video was him in the pool with his friends. Now, let's get to the video that summarizes all of this. Take a listen.
So allegedly, Nolan did leave the island, and he went back to Wyatt's house for a pool party. And during that pool party, there was an altercation between Wyatt, Nolan, Evan, and somebody else. And apparently, they beat Nolan to death with some sort of bar or pole. There are people that are putting out witness statements stating that they were there and they saw Nolan spitting up blood, and that these boys it on Nolan. They're saying that Evan's mother knew about the whole thing. But allegedly, they took Nolan's body back to the water. They're saying that this is the reason Wyatt peed on land at that house before they found that phone. This is why that boy told his daddy that Nolan was like a brother to me. Was like a brother to me when he showed up to get his car. It's because they already knew he was gone. Is this the reason why they needed dental records? Because he was unrecognizable? This case is starting to bust wide open. We all knew that something else happened to Nolan. Now the question is, which of the parents helped those kids?
Now you'll see I have the picture in question zoomed in here.
That picture was a June picture.
You'll see at the
they
top
said June
corner
20
here
something.
that there's, I don't know, almost looks like where you would step out of the pool. Nobody knows why this is circled. Nobody knows what that is. But you'll see on the other side there is where the basketball net is. That is what she's talking about. A couple other things to note is in the 3 Facebook screenshots that I just showed you, it never says Nolan. It says N-O-N-O. It could be a nickname for Nolan. I have seen some things online that says that Javon has come out and said that this Facebook post is not about Nolan. But those who watched my video yesterday, y'all know that like this whole Javon interview with TMZ is a little bit weird. So I don't know how much I trust Javon. That's one thing. We're going to get to the dental records in a second. For those who've been following me for the past week, you know about that.
I just can't.
Nolan fucking well. What in the actual fuck is going on down in Mississippi? So listen, if you got a little time, let me walk you through this shit, because this shit's fucking wild. I try to stay out of it till you get all the details, but since they're circling the fucking wagons and refusing to help authorities, I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. This picture right here, you will see Nolan and 4 of his friends that went on a boat party on July 4th. Only 4 of them returned without Nolan. His cell phone back to his
major update. This was an independent autopsy.
Breaking news, there is now new footage of Nolan Wells on the island prior to him going missing and being found deceased. 18-year-old Nolan Wells went missing on July 4th after setting sail on a boat with a group of his friends. The group decided to celebrate July 4th on Horn Island.
So, but is that Nolan in the video?
I can't tell. It's too far away. But in that video, I feel like the voices are too clear, like from the side.
Gotta say something real quick. Benjamin Crump should be ashamed of himself.
Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, Officer Tatum.
Yeah, I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving and that he might have been trying to swim to it. The only problem I have with that story is that if the people in the boat knew he was trying to swim to it and they saw him getting carried off with the current, they would have known about it. They would have been able to react to it. Not only that, even if that wasn't the case, if he went into the water at all and became distressed, it was so crowded that day that it.
In my opinion, the independent medical examination of Nolan Wells' body done.
Full, and I've been seeing your interviews with the white people who clearly have done something.
So,
full, and I've been.
It's a
man. They killed Nolan Wells. That's right. They killed him. I say it for y'all. They killed Nolan Wells.
The more I learn about the Nolan Wells case, the more I'm.
I told y'all. Warren's father, you know this Warren, who did the interview with Brandon Tatum, his father just offered a $50,000 reward in regards to Nolan's death. If anyone can tell him anything about the death of Nolan, he's offering $50,000. Now, what's interesting to me is that TMZ is intertwined itself in this investigation, which I think is odd.
It is odd.
I don't know why they've intertwined themselves, because he went to TMZ to offer this reward. Why didn't he just go to Ben Crump?
Right. I told y'all something's going on with TMZ on this
the fat lady
case.
singing. I've heard.
So did y'all ever hear about the white person that went away with their black friends and they never came back? Or did y'all hear about the white person who went to their black friend's house and we never seen them again? Y'all ain't hear about that? Me neither. That rarely happens. But for some reason, whenever our black asses get a group of white friends, something always happen to us. Now, did you hear about what happened to Nolan Wells? If you didn't, here's a clip.
Wells disappeared off the coast.
This is where shit gets crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. I can't make this shit up. Check this out.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee for service come up under Jerry.
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking. And he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So He said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18. And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24 footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat.
This is where shit gets crazy.
Yeah,
scary,
let's hear it again.
Spooky, hilarious. I can't make this shit up. Check this out.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from
Oh,
International.
we want to hear that again.
Community is tired. And his words that came out of his mouth, and it was so accurate.
Why is Ben Crump continually lying to the people?
Nolan Wells was murdered. So it's just like I thought. The Independent.
They found his body. They found Nolan's body, right? And they also stated that he was found along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, right? It's the same shit that happens all the time, which is crazy as fuck, y'all. They say the friend also had his phone. Brought the family back his phone. How the fuck you got the man's phone and y'all don't know what happened to him? That makes no sense, bro. And then the friends are relatives with the judge. It's just so many different things that's always coinciding. It's never a fucking coincidence. Don't ever in your life think this shit is coincidence. All of this shit is happening for a reason, you know? And they want that rage from us, like I said to y'all before, bro. They act like they so fucking clueless. But when everybody gets up and say, fuck the police, and say, fuck the FBI, and fuck all y'all, you know, we have not shown our own, y'all gonna be mad as fuck, bro. They're willing to arrest you.
What do you mean that his throat and his lungs were missing for the private autopsy that Nolan Wells' parents had to do to try to get answers for their son's case? You know what this sounds like to me? Hendrick Johnson, who also never got justice. Hendrick Johnson was found rolled up in a wrestling mat, and they were saying that he dove down into it and must have suffocated. But everything about it doesn't make sense. And so his family also hired a private autopsy, and his body was full of newspapers. So because of that, they couldn't actually find out what really happened to him. All I'm saying is I'm tired of cases like this happening over and over again. These people deserve justice. I hope the pressure of the media at least helps Nolan and his family get justice.
Exactly.
So this clip right here gets released after the autopsy comes back undetermined for Nolan Wells. Look at this.
The way I see it is they have one of two choices. One, they can make things right, or two, violate everything. Violate everything.
Now, I've ran this clip through AI. I've even searched for the original video and yet have found nothing. But it makes you wonder.
That's one of his
if
friends
this clip
said he
is
was
true,
going to release
why
everything.
not just tell if you
He said-
know? But the real
Hey, Babears. I know you probably did not expect to see me,
But I had to come on because I wanted to acknowledge all of your love, your support, your kindness that you guys have been showing me. I wanted to, answer each and every one of you, and I probably will at some point. I will at some point, but right now it's just, everything is so heavy. Everything is so heavy.
This is Nolan's mom.
Just been going through the motions. I'm a healthcare provider, so I talk about grief a lot. And now to be on the other side of this is, it's a lot. So I lost my mom a few years ago, and that was hard. This loss, this grief, this pain, it's different. It's insurmountable. And then it's like you get these flood of emotions all at different times, and grief is so multi-layered. 1 second I might be okay and I can talk about things and I can listen to his stories, and then the next minute I am falling apart and I feel like I can't breathe, and I feel like there is an elephant just sitting on my chest. But I know this is a process. I have a wonderful support system. I have my faith in God, which I've been leaning heavy into. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I see you. I love you. I'm thankful for all of you. And I'm so sorry that I hadn't been able to reply. I don't know exactly when again I'll post. For some reason, it does help. And I know if no one was here, he'd be like, Mom, just keep talking to the people, keep telling my story, keep telling your story. So that is going to be my plan. Again, thank you all so much. I love you, and I will talk to you later.
Justice for Nolan Wells. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That was hard to watch for me. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to the fucking audio. All right, of course. How far is the word coming up, sir?
You listen closely, you can hear these words, y'all.
Can you give me a description?
We don't owe anybody anything. The only thing we did initially, we just asked a question.
You may disagree with me on this. No, I want you to take a quick.
I think the world, prayers for the Nolan family, stay strong. I know Ben Crump and the family is supposed to get the autopsy report on Wednesday. Well, they got the report back.
When I called her, I said, have you seen Nolan? He's missing.
The questions didn't end when Nolan's dad got his son's keys.
Have you seen Nolan?
When she realized Nolan was missing, she called a family friend for help.
So did you guys see this video where Nolan Wells' mom released the video?
Hey, Boo Bears. I know you probably did not expect to see me, but I had to come on because I wanted to acknowledge all of your love, your support, your kindness that you guys have been showing me. I wanted to.
Nolan Wells, 3 internet myths that I'm going to debunk for you. Guy's 30 years of experience as a homicide prosecutor, criminal defense lawyer, certified Supreme Court trial attorney, a person who ran a police prosecutor's office in 44 police agencies investigating murder cases, and a civil rights litigator who sued the police for improper conduct. The internet is exploding with people who are either knowingly pushing bad information or purposefully deceiving you or just don't know what they're talking about. So here are the 3 myths. Number 1, now this keeps going around. 2 boys were beating him ferociously. We know this isn't true. There are no signs of physical abuse, no stab wounds, no shots, no blunt force trauma, no skull fractures, no subcutaneous skin issues, no scratching,
bruising
no
in the back of the head.
bruising, except for a red mark on the back of the neck, which has been explained even by the independent medical examiner as potentially post-mortem. But I bring this up right now because there's literally, any of you listening to someone that says that there is a brutal beating that went on here, run away. These people are not telling you the truth. They're either stupid, lying, or trying to get clicks. And this is what's going on here. Number 2, the sheriff's no foul play comment being taken completely out of context. There is nothing unusual when law enforcement goes to a scene and they see no decap BTLS, no deformities, no contusions, abrasions, no penetrations, no tenderness or swelling or lacerations or skull fractures or any kind of thing on the body that tends to lead a person, that there's been the gunshots, like I said before, stab wounds, all these things, cuts. You don't see that. And you see somebody floating in the ground. You can make a preliminary determination. And that's exactly what went on here, that they didn't suspect foul play, but they said the investigation is ongoing and asked the public for assistance and cooperation. And you know who else found no foul play when looking at the body and taking a review of it for the very reasons I said, decap BTLS?
the medical examiner and the independent medical examiner who said he can't rule out homicide, or there is no homicide evidence right now. Yeah, they need additional information, but from the looking of the body, they confirmed exactly what the sheriff's officer said. Saying you don't see signs of foul play does not mean you are saying you are not investigating a fact.
Because they doesn't have all the information.
Frankly said they were investigating and asked the public to come forward with information, particularly about any altercations. Last point I want to bring out here is not giving the family the neck, the lungs, and the hyoid bone. Down the road, they're going to have an opportunity to review this. Prosecutors are not going to be giving this information up because if they have to make an arrest and there's a bad guy and they got a charge, they can't break chain of custody with significant body parts that would show the cause and manner of death. Guys, like, share, and follow for more.
I'm going to say this because nobody else might want to. Y'all might be a little scared. Y'all might be. I ain't really seen nobody say it, but I'm going to say it.
Okay, this is a black girl.
Why Nolan Wells' family started a GoFundMe?
Because they need money, fool.
Like, what's the purpose of starting a GoFundMe?
So you can pay
What's the purpose of hiring Ben Crump?
You need an attorney.
I said it in the last video I did. I'm ready to see more facts come out.
This is crazy.
But I don't understand why the family would hire Ben Crump, a race baiter.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
And what's sad about the clip that I'm about to show you? Well. And this is why.
So it was actually bruises behind his neck.
Yes. I'm going to tell you guys something. See, that's why I have to get off of here. Because when I
today I'm
see stuff like that, it gets me so upset. When I see stuff like that. Miss Christina keeps getting threats. I think everybody's getting threats. They arrested 2 people for threats, for threatening the judge. Yeah, I seen that. I was trying to pull up. Zan sent me some things, but it wouldn't pull up. So I was just going through everything to see. But I haven't got any the new. Yeah, they say 2 people has been charged for threats. So I'm going to say this because it makes me angry to see when, like if it was your child, your sister, your mother got killed and you don't believe what's going on, you would want someone to help you. You can't do it with a straw and a pop bottle. You need money. The best that money can buy, a person with a mouthpiece, a person that people, when they talk, people listen. When Ben Crump, he's a mouthpiece. He is, he speaks up for the African American community because he knows that things get put underneath the rug. He knows that stuff. Yeah, it was a kid that was, and she was black, and it makes me mad because she doesn't understand. She don't have kids. She don't have probably a job. She just sitting there wanting some attention because she's African American. She wants to say, why would you hire Ben Crump? That, let me tell you something, okay? And I'm just going to be honest with you. If it was my child, I would not be the best person for you to be throwing rocks at or whatever. We would have showdowns too much because at the end of the day, when you lose a child, it can bring out the worst in you. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry. So, I'm going to read to you the state autopsy completed. It says here, this is from ABC New York. Sometimes these places, you can't even though that they are, this can be New York, such. This was on July the 31st. It says, the private autopsy commissioned by Wells' family primarily found that his cause and manner of death are undetermined. So when people be like, it was nothing found, no, it didn't say it was nothing found. It says undetermined because they don't have all the information. If somebody cut off your hand and cut off your foot, and then they need that so that they can know if you had a gun, if you picked something up, what was your fingerprints. They can't tell you what it is because they don't have that. It's just common sense. But, it makes African Americans look dumb or look like we don't know because, okay, and they're saying that it's common practice. They're saying it's common practice. And, I don't know if it's common practice. You could have took clippings of it and sent it on, even, okay, Miss Phyllis says, even if it turns out nothing wrong happened, it's worth every penny to get to the truth. Yes, it is. Cody's voice says, well, it's in the grand jury hands now, so let's see what happens. I'll put money on it. There's going to be no foul play. No. Cody's voice, what are you talking about? No. Let me tell you. Because, see, when it goes to the grand jury, to see if it has enough evidence to go to trial. That's all it goes to the grand jury on. Now, the grand jury, they pick people out of the community. It can be everybody look like him, look like, they're not going to look like Nolan. That's for sure. But anyway, they're just on there to say, yes, there's enough information for trial or no, because you don't want to waste government money, and it doesn't matter. I don't believe he's going to get a fair trial, even if the grand jury comes back and say, yeah, there's some information here that there's some suspicious information. One is, like I said, okay, see, this is what I told you guys at the beginning, and I wasn't skeptical. I just said, because the mom is saying something happened to her kid. Well, Mom, why do you feel something happened to your kid? And she says, because on his phone, he didn't do no Snapchat. He didn't do no videos. He didn't get on his phone. He didn't do such and such, Now, that's not evidence there, really. That's not evidence there. But it got everybody entangled into this. Because, he's a good swimmer. He's an athlete, so he knows how to swim. He works out, so he wouldn't have been close to the island and being and drowned. But I also said right at the beginning of this, well, why do the mom think something happened to her child? Well, I'm telling you right now, if one of my kids did not come home and their friend called the police or the Coast Guard before calling me, we got a problem. Yes, Houston, we would have a problem because, first of all, how do you know my child is missing when you ain't even asked me, is he missing? You just randomly called the Coast Guard talking about we got a missing person, then call mama? That is not the sequence of order you're supposed to go in. Period, point blank. That right there is enough evidence to me. Something is wrong, and you know something is wrong, because why would you call the Coast Guard and say, we got a missing person? And then call mom and say, hey, Nolan didn't come back with us. Did he come home? You called mom after the phone call. And I didn't know which order was it. I thought he had called mom and said, hey, Nolan didn't come back with us. Did he come home? And then the mom says, no, you know, blue, 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 blue. So, of course, you made the first phone call. But who are you to make the first phone call that my child is missing when you didn't even know if he arrived home? It was in the bedroom, in the bed. You wouldn't have known that. You didn't even know if he made it back to shore and somehow called his dad and said, Dad picked me up, and he at his dad's house, or he gonna call mom and say, hey, mama, just letting you know I'm back, but I'm going over Devin's house. You don't know that. You don't call the Coast Guard and say, hey, we got a missing person. You know? Cody said, and they all white. Well, they just so happen to be all white. And you know, it's sad that, you know, and at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really understands that our children do come up missing in those situations. When they're young, you got to watch them. But they do. They come up missing, and then everybody wants to tell their story, and they want you to believe it. And, oh, he climbed out the window. Oh, he stayed back. And you can't never find your kid again. And then when you find them, they're done with. Even before that, SP, they called for help when none was needed. The lie and all the connections to the authorities covering up is screaming out. Yeah. And you know what? I couldn't understand. They called Cito and said that they were sinking, and they was in 31 foot of water when they was right next to Horn Island. They wasn't out in the middle when they were sinking. They were where they could have got out the boat and stood there and watched the boat sink. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't out in the lake where, you know, nobody could get to them and they all gonna drown or whatever. You know, they were still. It wouldn't even have to get out and swim. They could have got out the boat and walked in the water to the island. That's how close they were. When he said his coordinates, when they said the coordinates, they were just right there. They hadn't even left. They talking about, we on the boat, we sinking, we going down. They were already trying to make a narrative that maybe, if you think about it, if you're in time and you think about it, you know, they can be like, oh, he drowned. Now we got to answer some questions. How did he drown? The current got him. You know, but listen, you guys, I got something to say, and I'm gonna get off of here. But listen, remember the Cito, when Vicky, the dispatcher, called Cito, she was like, I'm going to have to apologize. I'm really going to have to apologize. But there were some kids that called, and they were saying that they were sinking and the boat was getting full of water. And it seemed like it was like 7 people on the boat. That's what he said. And then he couldn't really explain, you know, the membership, but he says that the membership, and then the guy says, well, what kind of boat was it? And he said, well, he said it was a 20-foot footer, what was it? Titanium or Tyanic or something, whatever. Tyanic or something. And he was like, oh, pretty much no worries. Grandpa, hold on. Grandpa already called. What do you mean Grandpa already called? Did Grandpa already called you? Think about that. So the grandpa called you and said, oh, we don't need a toll. We don't need you to do it. Hey, don't worry about it. Why would the grandpa be able to be on land and tell them we don't need your help? She said, a Trenton. Was it called a Trenton? Something like that. You're right, might be. Pretty much. And then they go, and here's this Brandon Tatum that gets interviews, and he's this former ex-police officer, and he's sitting there, why Ben Crump, why would the mama go get Ben Crump, and why she got Al Green doing the eulogy, and hold on. First of all, this is a mother that has lost her child, and she just wants answers. And you guys are beating her up, and you've got people of her color, black, to come in and chit-chat, trying to make a name for themselves. Exactly, the good old boys. And like I said, I don't know why TMZ has came on and said, well, we do know for a fact that Nolan wasn't on that boat when he came back. No. Yeah, he was on the island. We know that for a fact. That's what TMZ said. And I was like, what? How can TMZ say that? You ain't got nobody that came on here that says he was on the island. You ain't got not one person that say at 6 o'clock they seen Nolan on the island. But they say they do. TMZ says they do. Yep, let me try to Google it. TMZ says they have evidence of Nolan being on the island. Investigators examined the death of 18-year-old Nolan on Horn Island. Reports that witness statements in digital material place him on the Mississippi Berry Island after his friend's boat had already departed on July the 4th. This evidence addresses a central point of the ongoing timeline reconstructed. I told y'all. That's what I'm saying. Investigators examining the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells on Horn Island reported that witness statements and digital materials placed him on the Mississippi Berry Island after his friend's boat had already departed on July the 4th. The outing. Wells traveled to Horn Island, the group acquaintance on the 4th. The departure GPS data and witness account indicate the group's boat left the island later that afternoon without him, after which a distress call was made regarding a sinking vessel or mechanical trouble. The sighting. Law enforcement sources noted that multiple interviewed witnesses reported seeing Wells alive on the island after that boat left. I told you TMZ says that. He interviewed witnesses, reported seeing Wells alive on the island after that boat left, aligns with family statements regarding afternoon photos or sightings. The recovery: Wells was found dead along the shoreline of Horn Island 2 days later. Autopsies: the official state autopsy has been completed, but findings are being withheld pending presentation to a grand jury. An independent autopsy commissioned by the family lists the cause and manner of death as undetermined. Would you like to explore the specific timeline breakdown, the GPS data details, or the latest updates? The newly surfaced footage also appears to show, let me see. Okay, Nolan Wells, hold on. New Horn Island video raises more questions. What is this? What did this say?
Wellness among black men, visit aawellness.org. That's aawellness.org. Stay with the Black Information Network as we update these stories, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Black Information Network, and on X and Blue Sky at Black Info Net. Make the Black Information Network first on your car radio and iHeartRadio app preset.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover.
Okay. Here it is, you guys. He needed to mind his business. Warren was texting him. A newly surfaced video from Horn Island is drawing renewed attention in the investigation into Nolan Wells' death. After appearing to show the boat connected to the 18-year-old disappearance hours before he was last seen. The footage reported by TMZ was shared by a person who said it was recorded on July the 4th at 11:17 a.m. before the island became crowded for the holiday. At the end of the clip, a boat bearing the name McDaddy can be seen. The vessel appears similar to the boat featured in previous release footage obtained by TMZ, which indicated was recorded later that afternoon at 2:23 p.m. The earliest video has drawn widespread attention because it appears to show a person wearing swim trunks matching the color of those Wells was last photographed wearing before he disappeared at 2:33. Neither video has been independently verified by law enforcement, and officials have not publicly confirmed that the boat shown in either recording is the same vessel connected to Wells' disappearance. The newly surfaced footage also appears to show a different group of adults aboard the boat than those seen in the later video, though it remains unclear who was on the boat or whether the difference has any significance. The video surfaced as investigators continue working to reconstruct Wells' final known movements on Horn Island. Wells' disappearance on July the 4th. Traveling, his body was recovered. The case remained. Last week, officials confirmed the Mississippi State Medical Examiner Office had completed Wells. The finding has not been released. Meanwhile, CETO called ocean engineer expert to examine how Wells' body was found, and investigators reviewing additional evidence as they continue. It said it has nothing. See what I'm saying? People say stuff so you can click on it, and then when you click on it, talking about the new surface footage, there is nothing new. There's nothing new. Feel it's not when you pick a side. SPN family, the Black Panthers are down there. Well, yeah. It says TMZ says sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ authorities have evidence suggesting Nolan was on the Mississippi Barreling Island. Yeah, I told y'all TMZ says that. That's what they say. Anyway, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm still looking up other stuff, and we'll have to talk about it. Okay, you guys, we will get back, and I will see you guys Wednesday, hopefully. If there's any information updates, let me know. All right, you guys, be good, be safe.